Palantir was selected for government's SAFER project worth $89.9 million, and I'm going to tell you why this is only the beginning for Palantir as a company and why the stock is very undervalued. This is not only a short-term trade that's good for making money, but also a long-term stock I'm willing to bet has the potential to 10x your money. The National Nuclear Security Administration, or the NNSA, selected PLTR for providing its Office of Safety, Infrastructure, and Operations with a platform for effective knowledge management and data-driven decisions in agreement valued at $89.9 million, which is basically almost $100 million for up to 5 years. PLTR is going to have some upsells in there, which is going to drive the value of the contract even higher than it looks like on the surface level. Now, this is Palantir's first contract with the NNSA, serving for its safety analytics forecasting and evaluation reporting project, which we will call SAFER. Palantir is known for landing great contracts, but what I like specifically about PLTR and why I have 1,500 shares is because they're innovating and they're growing their sales rapidly. I'm holding 1,500 shares strong and long and have told my patrons how I'm selling covered calls and playing PLTR to make weekly income with options. You can message me directly on Patreon, by the way, and enjoy my daily updates if you want to check that out in the description below. Here is a simple why PLTR got this contract and why they will sign many more contracts just like this one. Palantir software enables data integration across the enterprise regardless of data type or source system, and its granular security model is uniquely suited for the NNSA to collaborate across its sites securely. Security is very important for the NNSA. It's also important for every government entity out there, guys. PLTR is playing in the backgrounds of the government's trillion-dollar playground. The United States spent $686 billion on national defense during fiscal year 2019, according to the Office of Management and Budget, which amounts to 15% of the total federal budget. PLTR helps with many other parts of the government, like cybersecurity, which is worth $200 billion by 2025, growing a very healthy compounded annual growth rate of 10.5%. We know PLTR signed a multi-year, multi-million contract with PG&E to create a digital twin for enhancing safety and grid reliability. That project with PG&E collected 8 to 10 billion data points every day and is using Foundry to build a digital twin to its entire network. Palantir is building relationships with these companies not just for a year or the contract length, but most likely for decades to come, because they have services that are helping these companies transform and scale their businesses, which is going to be needed far beyond the contract length. They also signed a significant expansion with a Fortune 50 healthcare company to support their contract management and already generated $50 million in annualized value. What you need to realize is PLTR has massive value add to every industry, because whether you believe it or not, every business is a software business. That's why PLTR is like the shovel salesman during the gold rush in the 1840s. They were virtually guaranteed to make money because they realized their profits early and quickly, exactly how I trade and teach options in the Weekly Option Income Academy that's going off sale in just a couple days. Companies need to invest in services to visualize their data and make use of it now, not later. That's why PLTR has an opportunity over the next few years to really dominate in the new contract signings. Next thing we have to talk about, and this is a big kicker, everyone has been scared of inflation. Almost 20% of all the US dollars were created in 2020 alone. There is an enormous amount of money being printed by the federal government and going into circulation. Do you know who this is going to benefit at the end of the day? It is definitely not the person holding cash. It's going to help investors, but also more money in circulation means more taxes. The taxes go back to the government. That means PLTR's biggest customer, or customers should I say, is the strongest spender in the whole entire world. The higher inflation gets, the more money PLTR can charge the government. Coca-Cola can't raise its price too quickly, but an essential government software as a service business can absolutely do so, because data is now becoming essential. This is their Q4 2020 financials they released in February. I think it's important for us to look at the numbers to get a sense for their business. Now, 1.1 billion in revenue for full year 2020 was up 47% year over year, and any company above 30% is already an extremely fast growing company, and that's precisely why Cathie Wood is in a stock like PLTR. Full year 2021, Palantir said it expects revenue growth of 30%, slowing from 2020's 47% growth. That's one of the reasons why from February 19th to the 25th, the stock had a 17% dip. Now, I don't know about you, but let me put 30% growth in comparison with a similar company. PLTR has minimal competition, but I always think of a company like Salesforce because both companies have software as a service business models and both are fantastic companies. Now, Salesforce.com reported sales increased 20% in the fiscal fourth quarter and the same year-over-year gain as the previous period. So PLTR is truly one of the best plays that you can make within the software as a service industry, which has phenomenal margin. Now, what's interesting to me, and the reason I bought more shares of PLTR, is a deceleration in earnings is completely a non-issue. Not that 30% is low, but the reason they slowed is very deceiving from first glance to a retail investor. PLTR is shifting away from multi-year contracts with upfront payment to annual recurring revenue. So it's obvious to an expert investor and someone with experience that their revenues are going to appear smaller, but annual recurring revenue is better for the company long term. PLTR still expects Q1 2021 revenue growth of 45% year over year. So at the very least, the next quarter of earnings are going to make a big difference for the stock price. That's probably because they're realizing revenue from their new contracts, which include Rio Tinto, PG&E, BP, US Army, US Air Force, FDA, and the NHS. Looking at their balance sheet, their cash also went from $1 billion to over $2 billion. Now, if you look at the total liabilities, they have decreased from the same period a year ago. All of these are good signs of a financially well-run company. One thing to keep in mind is that PLTR key advantages is its steady and growing government business. They had $610 million in revenue from government customers in 2020. And here's another thing I need to mention that I think nobody is talking about that will drive PLTR stock to $50 by 2021 year end and a $100 billion market cap. So I've mentioned this on the channel before, but I need to dig in here, guys. On the left side, revenue from their top 20 customers is increasing, which is fantastic. That means the customers that are already working with Palantir, have their services with them, are enjoying their business and are spending more money and upgrading their services. That's a beautiful thing for the business, but what happens when the top 20 customers become the entire revenue stream for any company is always an issue. If one or two of the customers leave, the company ends up experiencing a big dip in revenue. However, this isn't the case for PLTR. And if you take a look at the right side here, the chart actually says that customer concentration of our top 20 customers as a total percentage of revenue is decreasing, which means PLTR is signing more and more contracts with a variety of companies and businesses. So guys, there's plenty of bread to be breaking here in terms of picking a stock to get stupid rich with, because not only are revenues rising, but the company is becoming much less risky. And I doubt a majority of investors realize this if they're not really following the news or following Cathie Wood or digging deeper into the stock. So on the bigger picture, here's why I think the stock is an opportunity right now. We have a few things going on, like the company signing more contracts on a recurring basis, lowering expected 2021 growth in the short term, bumming out the short-term traders, but the long-term investors are licking their chops at the growing diversified revenues PLTR is able to pull in. That's why I believe in their potential to grow much bigger than the current value, and I think this company is on the way to a $1 trillion market cap. $100 per share is what I think the stock can do in the short term, and I'm very bullish on this happening. Companies like PLTR and NEO, for that matter, are virtually guaranteed to succeed because they're playing with the government's money, and governments continue to spend and print more money, and they're increasing their budgets to spend on software as a service. Anything under $30 for Palantir is an absolute steal because long term, there is no competitor that is going to jump in and compete with what Palantir has already built. This is a stock that I'm bullish on long term, and of course, I think the options on this stock are absolutely phenomenal. They have a ton of premium, and if you want to trade options, you should absolutely pick Palantir as a stock that you trade options on. Cathie Wood knows what she's doing here. This is a big position for her, and she recently purchased more shares, only confirming my previous analysis on PLTR. I was talking about PLTR before they even IPO'd because I knew that they had a lot of government contracts and they also had potential to play in this space of data analytics, data management, and infrastructure that companies are absolutely desperate for services. This is a stock just like Tesla that I have absolutely no desire to sell anytime soon. I mean, for the next 5 or even 10 years. This stock is a top 3 position for me. If you want to see exactly how I'm playing options on Palantir, then go ahead and check out Patreon. I do post there every single day with weekly option plays every single Monday. And if you want to get better than a bachelor's degree in options trading and learn exactly why I'm so passionate about options and how I've been able to retire and do YouTube full time, then you want to check out the Weekly Option Income Academy in the link below. It's still 50% off just for a few more days. Let me know if you have any questions there. Make sure to DM me on Instagram if you do want to ask me a question or two. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.